Developing tonight, did Debbie Wasserman-Schultz make a sexist remark about Governor Nikki Haley after Haley's State of the Union response last night? As a woman, don't you think it's diminishing to say they had to put her up there for diversity purposes?
Even the Republicans themselves have acknowledged that they have a diversity problem.
Why couldn't she have been picked? Because she's smart, she's savvy, she presents well, she's articulate, and she's a great spokesman for the Republicans.
Because she has actually done damage to her state, has been actually a governor who has been extremely unpopular.
What are you going to say when people say they only made Hillary the nominee if she becomes the nominee because she's a woman? You're going to say that's sexist and watch it.
Of the people in the Republican Party, if you take a look at accomplishments and popularity, Nikki Haley is not the person that would leap to mind at the top of that list. She isn't popular in her state.
I know you better than this. You know you're on shaky ground. Joining me now, Dana Lash, the host of Dana on the Blaze TV, and Robert Zimmerman, who's a Democratic National Committee member from New York. Good to see you both.
Good to be with you.
Robert, really, was that the line of attack for Debbie to take, for Ms. Schultz to take?
Look, I first have to say for myself as a Democratic National Committeeman, I have enormous respect for Nikki Haley and the way she took on the hate-mongering and the extremist rhetoric of the leading Republican presidential candidates, and the way she took on the Republican Party and said they own part of the complete collapse of confidence in government, and they're partially responsible for government being broken. I think she gave a very important speech. But what Debbie Wasserman-Schultz was trying to point out is that the Republican Party, by their own admission, has a diversity problem, and they're not going to address it just by putting Nikki Haley as a spokesperson. They're going to address it when they finally put policies in place that don't discriminate against the gay and lesbian community, and when they don't advocate deporting undocumented workers.
That was the only reason she was chosen, Dana, is because obviously she's not good enough to be up there on her own. It has to be her lady parts and her Indian ancestry.
Apparently, and I guess Robert forgets, too, who's actually been in charge over these past few years and who had the majority at the beginning of Obama's presidency. But to that point, though, Megyn, Debbie Wasserman-Schultz is completely aware, I'm sure, of what the Democrat primary lineup looks like compared to the Republican primary lineup, right? I mean, if we're going to have a discussion of diversity, perhaps we can start with the two elderly white individuals who are running in the Democrat primary, and then take a look at all of the young and very diverse, both sexes. You have different ethnicities. You have different it's quite different. It speaks for itself.
Robert?
But Dana, let's remember, this very diverse field of Republican candidates are running like they're in the 1950s. They're advocating legislation that would discriminate.
But that's a different point.
No, that's
if you want to tackle policy, you can have that all day long. We're talking about gender, and we're talking about racial and ethnic identity. And she had to hit her. You know very well that if a Republican did that, Debbie Wasserman-Schultz to a Democrat would be out there calling them out on it, Robert.
But no, the issue that Debbie Wasserman-Schultz was pointing out was the issue of diversity, and that's defined by the policies you advocate, Megyn. And as long as the Republicans keep advocating policies against pay equity for women and keep advocating to deport undocumented workers.
That is a lie.
Go ahead,
I am not. That is an absolute myth. The whole pay inequality thing that goes down to women's choices. Don't sit here and say that you're empowering women by giving them the choice to go out and do whatever they want as a profession, and then when they don't choose according to your patriarchal will, Robert, then penalize them for making less on the dollar.
No matter how you want to spin it, the Republican Party
that's the truth.
No matter how you want to spin it, the Republican Party is still defined by an agenda that really goes back to the 1950s in their attitude towards people of color, their attitude towards Hispanics and undocumented workers, their attitude towards
the Republicans have two Hispanics running for office. They've got two Cuban Americans running for office. How many do the Democrats have, Robert?
Does it really matter if those Cuban Americans want to deport undocumented workers?
Oh, wait, that doesn't matter.
So it's okay, like they have diversity, but they don't get credit because they don't act diverse enough.
No, they don't, Robert, take credit because they don't advocate policies to enhance diversity. It's just about themselves.
In your view?
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Go ahead,
Robert, I have to say that there's not a single Republican candidate who, when their spouse was in office, actually led a raid and held a rifle in a child's face as he was in a closet. If you want to sit here and talk about deportation, we can have that conversation all day long.
Gonzalez. No, we can't, because we're out of time, but it's great to see you both. Dana wins with the last remark, I guess, because we're out of time. Great to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you, Megyn.